Nigeria Security Police (SSS) have said in a security alert addressed to the now managing director of the Nigeria Railway Corporation that a terror attack was imminent in the Kaduna-Abuja line. In the letter dated 11th August, the SSS said its intelligence indicates an impending threat to seamless train transportation along the Abuja-Kaduna train service. It warned that a coalition of banditry syndicate are planning to attack the train any moment from now. The attack is aimed at kidnapping passengers on board for ransom. The SSS said that these are the problems and that there should be adequate measures from passengers intending to ply the Abuja-Kaduna train. Now, still with us virtually is John Akirile and Great Emo, both public affairs analysts. Thank you for staying with us on this second segment. So it's not up to a year where we realized where we saw the first attempt on the Abuja Kaduna train. That was a major rail project under the Minister of Transportation, then Amechi at the time. And for almost 6 months or 7 months, the rail line then couldn't be plied because, the ransom that took place, and then, of course, the bomb that killed a couple of persons on that route. Now the SSS is sending an alert. Are we overwhelmed with these syndicates? I'll ask you, Great.
Okay. I think I have a problem with the way and manner we are actually dealing with the situation. Um, the job of state security services is more discreet than this. I don't think that their job is to send panic to the public. they, I think those days when we were growing up, we used to have something like you call CID, something related. Sometimes you'll be in a school, you wouldn't even know that a teacher is a state security service agent. Sometimes you are an organization, even production companies, you wouldn't know they are there. But this style of always coming on public space to announce things as a way of maybe to make people feel they are doing something, I don't fancy it at all. Okay, you've announced that they are planning to attack. Is that what your job is? Their job is to dig in with these sectarian groups, to run a ring around them, monitor the activities, and report to the appropriate authorities so that these things are nipped in the bud. Sometimes, if you don't know how, if they don't, I'm not trying to undermine their job. A global knowledge that discrete security organizations don't announce things like this. What they do is that they follow it up with action through the body to nip it in the bud. By having knowledge of this and announcing it, you have inadvertently actually helped the job. The job of the terrorist job is to instill fear. If you go and check definition of terrorism, their number one job is to create fear, in the minds of a lot of people, thereby, taking breath away from them, reducing their economic activity, calculating their environment through the spread of what the fear underline. So in countering terrorism, you don't help them achieve it by coming to tell us that they want to. I really don't. I'm as much as this.
Great. I would like to think that. Great. I would like to think that. Yes, in as much as such information should not be made public, but I would like to think that
Yeah.
the aim was not to instill fear, because on our screen right now we have the letter. It was addressed to Nigeria Railway Corporation. So I think maybe some members of staff of the Nigeria Railway Corporation made it public. It should have been indicated that this is of national security and should be handled with care.
Oh,
But
discreetly.
yes, it should be
Okay.
handled. But it's been made public now. So where do we go
Which
from
is
here, really?
unfortunate because This kind of communication is high profile communication.
Of course.
It doesn't get through to lower rank of the cadre in any environment. That's number one. Number two, addressing it to the Nigerian Railway Corporation is good, maybe to, but they don't even have, even if you address it to them, what exactly they do? Take out the terrorists or shut down the train, possibly, because the only thing they can do in reaction to this kind of thing should be addressed to the police, the army, or the joint task force, who now should follow up and monitor the characters who are planning these things and take them out before they happen. Writing the Nigerian Railway, it should be a collaborative thing where maybe the management is now brought in to be briefed on these matters and be told the measures to be taken, because there are security issues which Nigerian Railway Corporation does not have the professional skills to handle.
All right then. Okay.
They are the best. What Nigerian Railway Corporation can do is just to shut down trains and maybe find good excuses if actually what you are dealing with is terrorism, because I said the number one this is for terrorism is to what? Instill fear.
Fear.
So
okay.
Anything that that helps that is not in the best interest of the nation. So in dealing with terrorism, you look for measures to undermine those activities that instill fear.
Okay. Now,
and whoever may have leaked this document, you don't even need to be discussing in public. You've got part of the structures and strategies you require in dealing with these things. These things are not meant for public consumption.
All right then, great. So probably this was for Nigerians to know that the SSS is doing their job. Probably. Let me come to John now.
I guess. Yes.
Let me come to John now.
I guess.
John, the terrorists or the bandits that the bandit leader that took credit for the shooting down of the Nigeria Air Force evacuation jet, Dogo Gide, he was the one that put out the video and took credit for it, even though the Nigeria Air Force has come to say that was propaganda. Let's disregard that. Record has it that this individual, Dogo Gide, who was radicalized by Boko Haram, teamed up with one Kachala, also a terrorist or a bandit, and another Malam Abba, to perpetrate the Kaduna Abuja train kidnapping that took place in March 2022, where some people were killed and over 100 people were abducted. Now, what do you make of the fact that just after a helicopter was brought down, now we are hearing intel.
Individual.
Pardon?
Is it the same individual?
Yes, and now we're hearing intel that the Abuja-Kaduna train might be attacked again. What do you make of that? John?
Thank you, Mrs. I think for me, I would like to look at this issue from different angles. And one of the angles will be in terms of communication. And like I've always been saying on different fora where I'm privileged to speak in, if you don't speak to your people and you create a vacuum, that vacuum will be filled. And that comes to the communication between our military forces and how they communicate with the masses. If there's any incident or any occurrence that must have happened in any of the security agencies, I think the onus is on the security agencies to come out and address the public on that issue. Once you're able to address the public, you fill the gap of speculations and all this unnecessary propaganda that you claim that it is. Now, in a case where the armed forces do not give a concrete communication to people, you see the bandits coming up and taking glory about it. And so you don't blame them. So it means that the communication line of the armed forces should be checked. That's on one angle. On the other angle is that I hope the so-called bandits, I'm looking for a name to use to qualify them now. apologists, the bandits apologists, and some of them who have approached this new president, to pay a courtesy visit at Villa and say that they should not use the military might on these so-called bandits, and that they can always be spoken to. I hope they are also watching what is actually happening now. If we have had this train attack in previous months ago, and then somebody somewhere is also planning another attack on that same train line, I think that the apologists now are in the same country, and even if they are out of this country, they are for themselves, and they can hear that these are what their so-called stubborn children are about to do. And so that when the full might of military force comes down on them, nobody should cry foul here. The third angle to it is to look at when we had this occurrence, when we had this incident happen the last time, what were some of the solutions, some of the ways that were, suggested to the past administration or this administration on how to forestall such occurrence from happening again? Have we looked at some of this advice? Have we checked them out? Are we looking at implementing them? How far have we gone in terms of security on the rail line? How far have we gone in terms of securing, personnel on that route? How far have we gone in terms of looking at some of the locations where you can have stops and check people are safe in terms of security along that corridor from one state to the other state? How long have we gone in terms of security agencies in different working together to make sure that the train line that comes through their region is safeguarded? And these are questions that are begging for answers. And I think it shows again that we are now a country where when something happens, we all come and shout about it. And after 2-3 days, the shouting comes down. And we forget about it and we move on until it's coming up again. Now, another angle to it is the angle of DSS coming out to say that. I think for me, DSS is a very fantastic outfit, and they've done good job in terms of providing intelligence. But I think this intelligence should have been among the security agencies. Mind you, this president said that all of the security agencies will work in uniformity so that they can always achieve their goals. So I think this information should be shared among security agencies. Intelligence should be shared among themselves, and they can see how they can work better. And if you look at it, how did this document leak out? Because just like Grace said, it's not meant for the public. These are security details, these are security information that should be checked upon. And I think that should not be the case again. So instead of DSS to deploy more men to the courts, I think they should deploy more men to these areas where they are needed. Brandishing all of their might, their guns, and their suits, I think it should be needed along that track route where they can actually put good use of their skills rather than showing them in the court of law where there are no bullets, there are no bombs, there are no grenades and all abuse. So I think they should show their might on that corridor where they have, identified that there's a potential threat that is to come. Another angle again to this, Moses, is the fact that as a people, we must also be seen to be working with the government to make sure that we forestall peace and order in our community. Now, these people are not ghosts from nowhere, and they sleep somewhere. And I think the government also should look at it. What becomes of this forest that we have? We have a large mass of land that is for forests. And what are we doing with these forests? Is it generating income for us as a people in terms of ecological effects? Of what importance is it to us? Can we have military bases all across this? I've always been saying that in terms of our military and our police and our security architecture generally, the manpower is low, very, very low. So can we convert some of these forests into super military base that train and retrain of military personnel, and then we can have enough of them who can, safeguard all of our forests across about 18 states that we have them. And I think that's the way to go for me.
All right, thank you, John. Great, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so apparently the threat as alleged by the DSS, as they say, could be any moment from now. Does this mean that it's an invitation for self-help? You're giving this warning, meaning that Nigerians, make sure that you take care of yourself. We have done the needful by informing you that this is what the plan is, so be cautious. So are they literally just mentally arming Nigerians to be wary when they ply that route? Could this be what the the alarm is all about, or the information is all about?
Uh, Actually, that sounds like it sounds like that is what it is right now. Um, Although your colleague have explained that it was actually supposed to be a discrete communication between the SSS and the Railway Corporation Management.
Yes.
But whatever be the case, the why do you identify a threat to a nation? It's not to let them linger. And as I said earlier, the Nigerian Railway Corporation does not have the capacity to actually deal with the problem. As much as they need to be informed, they need to be at the highest echelon. The highest echelon of the corporation need to be in the know. But the purpose of identifying threats, not for making news, it is for you to take them out. To take them out, you deflect the threats. You don't let them snowball,
Okay.
which is the fundamental job. Prevention, more of what the SSS is established to do is to secure the nation, the state, and anything that is a fundamental threat to state, including terrorism and all of those. So when you get this information, that means from where you got the information, you are embedded.
All right.
The SSS is embedded. By now, what should have been done is to be announcing to the public that you avoid a terrorist attack being planned on Abuja. Even you may not even announce it if you know that the announcement will panic the environment. You take them out behind the scene because they are enemies of state. In dealing with them, except where there are issues or challenges or people identified that as terrorists, somebody comes up and say there are issues of fundamental human rights. That's where lawyers come in. And this brings me back to what I said earlier about what is wrong with Nigeria. Every year, it's becoming a natural occurrence that we're making it a part of us.
All right.
That you take out Shikarau, one touchy emerges from the other angle. You are talking about one touchy in Zamfara. Now we have another one in Niger. We have another one in Castina. We have these things are multiplying. And I said, without data, some of these people now that are constituting the problem, yet maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when we were talking about Shekara, they were still small boys. How did these terrorist groups have the opportunity to have trained them now to become leaders of different cells, even taking responsibility for big actions as this? It's because we have gone over this period of 10 years, not rejigging our data. We don't know who is a Nigerian. We don't know where Nigerians live.
All right.
We don't know
Great.
what they do.
All right,
It's a
great.
problem.
We have a time constraint, so we'll just take I'll drop a few points, and then we'll take your views in a minute or less. Now, Rotimi Amechi, when he was the Minister of Transportation, and the kidnapping of the Abuja-Kaduna train happened, he made a statement. He said that he had requested for some digital security and crime detection equipment that could forestall such terror attacks on the rail lines, but his requests were turned down. All right, let's hold that in one hand. And then the publisher, Tuko Mamo, who negotiated for the release of terrorists, he's been arrested by the DSS, so he's in DSS custody. Maybe he helped them, with this information of another impending attack. Let's hold that in another hand. Now, what the SSS has said is that what they're proposing is security measures being put in place. Now, they're saying that air surveillance patrol should be put in place, surveillance on the rail tracks should be put in place, military checkpoints or patrol, and security raid operations be carried out around Biazin, Jibi, as well as Ija forests. Now, these are the measures that they are proposing that should be put in place to forestall this attack.
This was way
But
back in
no,
2022.
this is what the SSS is
Say
saying
now,
now.
okay.
Now, so let's get your view on this as we also give us your final words on the issues that we've shared. Can we lock them in less than 2 minutes, please?
Okay, well, what Rotimi Amechi suggested then was good, and is still as important, as relevant as today, and that is being corroborated by what the DSS is proposing. And the question would be, what agency of Nigeria's among the security agencies should do what? That's always the problem, because sometimes not that they don't have ideas, but because of corruption in Nigeria, agencies is struggling to interfere in the other agencies' job because of what they want to make out of it. The war in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine, have exposed everything today, even with as little as this surveillance drone. People can monitor anything, and at a very cheap amount of money. For $100 drone, certain large expanse of area can be monitored. They have a control center from which they can see. The war is today between Russia and Ukraine. Everything on ground is just how you respond to it. And these things, where you go and check the cost and you do the analogy, these are things we can much more afford if we prioritize them. And we should prioritize them, because if we have security, people will go to farm, we improve productivity, we improve security, and everything will help, will be out. So whatever solution, let them put it forward, and also allow those who experts to debate the cost, because that's always Nigeria running into problem.
All right, then. Thank you very
Corruption
much.
comes.
Thank you very much. Great email. John, let's have your views now. Parting shot as well.
I think for me, just like Greg said, we should look at how we can invest more in security of lives and property. And if we do that, I can assure you that we have the confidence of the people, and we can generate much more income in a secure environment. We'll be more productive as a people. Our people will be gainfully employed. The economy will be stable, and we'll be happy. So security, for me, I think is what this administration should focus on. And there's no amount of money you spend on security that is too much. So let's get that. So, and then.
All
All
right,
right,
then.
thank you, John, and thank you, Grace, for being part of the show this morning. We do appreciate your intellectual input. Up next is Business with Moses.
All right, going
Thank
straight
you.
to business now. The total amount of currency in circulation in the country dropped from 2.6 trillion naira as of the end of June 2023 to 2.59 trillion naira as of the end of July 2023. Now, this is the first time the figure has dropped since February 2023. Figures obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria showed this represents a drop of 7.51 billion naira in 1 month. According to the Apex Bank, currency in circulation is defined as currency outside the vaults of the central bank. Now, that is all legal tender currencies in the hands of the general public and in the vaults of the deposit money banks. The CBN stated that it employed the accounting, statistical, withdrawals, and deposits approach to compute the currency in circulation in Nigeria. Now, this approach involved tracking the movement of currency in circulation on a transaction by transaction basis. It stated that for every withdrawal made by a DMB at one of CBN's branches, an increase in the CIC was recorded, adding that for every deposit made by a DMB at one of CBN's branches, a decrease in the CIC was recorded. All right. Another business story now. The Naira strengthened to the dollar on Thursday after closing at 740.67 naira to a dollar. That's 740 naira 67 kobo to a dollar on the investor and exporter forex window. The Naira, which had been recording gains since the Central Bank of Nigeria announced a planned intervention in the forex market on Monday, closed at 773.17 naira to a dollar on the I&E window on Wednesday. At the parallel market, a bureau de change operator, Yusuf Karim, stated that the naira was bought and sold at 835 naira and 850 naira between yesterday and between Wednesday and Thursday. According to the BDC operators, the value had not really changed from how it traded on Wednesday. The President Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria, Aminu Gwadabe, stated that the pronouncement of the CBN was having an impact on the forex market. All right, so that's what we have from the world of business. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll go into entertainment.